right, welcome back. We have some video coming in from Yale County, Arkansas, showing you some of the damage left behind this morning from the strong storms. You can see the tree blown over, this mobile home. This is why we say so many times, you can't be in a mobile home. This is not a sturdy structure.
Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly, when you look at a picture, if you haven't been here before, what is going on. But yeah, you can see it looks like that tree is certainly on top of that car. So this is still early in the day. Arkansas, you're going to be in the threat for a while, and you can see at the bottom of the screen it says breaking now, Torcon of 8 for a couple of areas here in the south, one of those being Tupelo, Mississippi. We're going to continue to update the forecast as we go through the day. Here's a look at some of the other areas, and you get up anything 5, 6, 7, now we have an 8.
Oh, absolutely.
These are big numbers, especially for this time of year. Even in springtime when you expect to see some of the stronger storms, these would be big numbers. And
like we said earlier, we haven't had an 8 since April of 2014.
More than a year.
Yeah, more than a year ago. And then we're looking at Torcon 7. This is our third one for the season. Well, one of those cities in the bullseye for the destructive storms, that includes Memphis. And that's where we find our Mike Seidel this morning.
And let's go to meteorologist Mike Seidel. And Mike, see the sun shining on you right now, and I know oftentimes in the springtime when you go out and you cover storms, you can kind of feel it, and not really smell it, but you can kind of, the warmth and the humidity. What's it like where you are right now, and what are your thoughts on the overall threat?
Well, certainly the sun out is not a good thing because that increases the instability, the buoyancy, the atmosphere, the old hot air balloon principle. The hot air in the balloon is more buoyant than the cooler air surrounding it, so the balloon rises. That's what's happening. As you look across the mighty Mississippi River this morning here in Memphis, and you can see a lot of blue sky. We've got a lot of stratocumulus. We had a few morning showers, a few flashes of lightning before sunrise, but that's all moved out. Now we're just waiting to see what the atmosphere does. We've got that line of storms now out in central Arkansas producing some severe thunderstorm warnings. Chris and Jen just mentioned the straight line wind damage. So it's between there and here. We'll see if the atmosphere can pop up these individual, what we call discrete supercell thunderstorms. Those are the ones that we have to really watch out for to produce the twisters. Pretty brisk southerly wind. Temperature right now 67. We're heading for a record of 73 this afternoon. Yesterday they tied a record. Torcon now 8 on a scale of 10 from Dr. Greg Forbes. That means there's an 80% chance that within 50 miles of where I'm standing, there will be a tornado touching down. That's a very, very high likelihood. That doesn't mean there's going to be one in downtown Memphis, but in the area. We talked about Tupelo, Oxford, Mississippi, Jonesboro, Arkansas, Dyersburg, Jackson, Tennessee, off to the east of here. So that's the whole area, what they typically call the Mid-South. And severe weather, Christmas week, 3 of the past 4 years. Back in 2012, we had an outbreak, 30 twisters, Louisiana to Texas, and then just 2 years ago, we had 15 twisters touching down on December 21st. So guys, it can happen in Christmas week. It's unusual, but weather like this that we've seen most of December too is very unusual.
Thank you so much, Mike Seidel, joining us live right now from Memphis. And we do have some breaking news into us. We do know that we have a tornado watch, and now it's been extended until later on this evening, and that includes the Paducah area as well as more central parts of Illinois.
So this is a reminder that you see Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri. This threat is going from Illinois, in fact, even northern Illinois, the chance for thunderstorms, but the red is the tornado watch right now. This is a threat from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, and we're also seeing it south of that as well. Don't assume that just because you see the line in Missouri that the tornado watch doesn't extend to parts of Texas as well. Well, coming up, we're going to have perspective on one of the areas greatest hit by tornadoes for today, the potential for today.
Right now, this is a look at that severe thunderstorm threat today, and this is a big area in the red. The red is where there's the threat for some of the strongest storms, so the severe weather. And within that, along with damaging straight line winds, large hail, there is a tornado threat. Parts of northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, 8. A 7 is a big number, 6 is a big number, 5 is a big number, but you get up to a 7 and an 8 out of 10. This is a significant threat for this area today. Not only is it a tornado threat, there's also the threat for some strong tornadoes and possibly long-lived tornadoes.
Yeah, that's right. And we want to bring in meteorologist Steve Wilkinson with the National Weather Service in Jackson, Mississippi. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it looks like today you're going to have an incredibly active day. What are the things that you're really going to be looking for?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, certainly we're going to be monitoring the trends over the next few hours. For example, we just seeing some peaks of sun coming out here, which is not a good thing, and just monitoring how the moisture returns out ahead of these storms, and really seeing what mode the storms are going to be. Are they going to be a line, or are they going to be individual cells? So just watching those trends over the next few hours.
So what are you going to be like watching for in the atmosphere? What are you going to be hoping for, looking for that may say, hey, this isn't going to be as bad as what is possible today?
Sure. Well, our hope would be that there's kind of a cap in the atmosphere right now. That our hope would be that holds, and you know, this activity doesn't get as strong as it has the potential to get. But certainly we think that you know, cap probably will break, and the storms will erupt even more than they are right now.
Now, Steve, were you surprised with the tornado warnings earlier this morning, or were you expecting more activity to start off the day?
Well, you know, there's a lot of wind energy with this storm, and there's a lot of instability, which is almost more like a spring-type system. So, yeah, there's really no surprise that we've had at least a few scattered, isolated type warnings occurring. Certainly the main event seems to still be in our future in the next, you know, 6 to 12 hours. But, yeah, as much energy and instability, no, not surprised at all.
All right, Steve Wilkinson, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. Best of luck going forward through the day today. All right, so what we want to do right now is...
You're minding your business. You're trying to do some shopping, going to visit relatives.
Right, we want to make sure that you are safe. And part of one of the challenges that we have this time of year is the fact that a lot of people are not home.
Right.
They're with relatives, with family, and you may have
shopping.
Right, you may have an emergency plan when you're at home, but what about when you're away?
Yeah, and you know, we need to make sure that we have alerts on our phones.
Make sure you have alerts on your phone. That's a big one. And make sure all of your alerts and your notifications are turned on, your location surfaces. So let's take a look at this. As you look at the Torcon, so where there's the possibility, again, the bigger the number, the bigger the threat on the right-hand side of your screen for these areas. And it's within a 50-mile radius, any point within that 50-mile radius. So say you're traveling from Memphis to Nashville, and you're going from Madison County into Henderson County, and the important thing is to know what county you're in, and you can look on the side of the road and see signs. This one says Henderson County right there. That's important because once you have your phone turned on and you have your location services, warnings are issued based on county. So that's how you're going to be alerted. So, or if you fly in somewhere, you're staying at a hotel, check the phone book or ask the front desk, what county am I in? And what are the surrounding counties?
Yeah, you know, here's another thing. Well, maybe if you're out shopping today, you're at some of those outdoor malls because it is warm out and we're starting to see the sunshine coming out. You know, make sure you know exactly where is a safe location in the mall if you're shopping because, you know, you can get caught up and not be aware of what's happening.
Yeah, so the main thing is be aware for sure. Coming up, an in-depth look at some of the areas at greatest risk. Again, that threat unfolding throughout the day today.
And welcome back. We have more images of actually damage coming out of Yale County, Arkansas. This is out at the airport where they had reports of wind gusts of 84 miles per hour. And you can see there's a sign. The sign is flipped over. It says self-serve, but this gives you an idea of just how strong those winds were coming through.
All right, so it's, at
the Danville Airport.
Yeah, Danville Municipal Airport. It's strong enough to flip this over and tear it apart. Likely it had a couple other beams here. It doesn't anymore. And you can also tell the fact that it's upside down. The words are upside down. You can also see the lights right here. So perhaps this is cover for some fuel. It's hard to say exactly what it was, not knowing for sure. But what we do know for sure is that there is some damage. We are seeing damage from these storms that are happening right now. And there are multiple threats with this. Straight line winds, so just some strong winds associated with the thunderstorms. And then there is a significant tornado threat today.
Yeah, and we're already looking at some of these storms right now producing severe thunderstorm warnings. And of course, we started off the morning with tornado warnings. You are watching Weather Center Live. We have a very active day. I'm Jennifer Delgado. And
I'm Chris Warren. Also, we have meteorologist Jessica Arnold here with us. And Jess, we're watching, you know, throughout the past hour or so, we've seen the updates from the Storm Prediction Center. Our own severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, is here. What are your thoughts when we look at this?
My thoughts are, I hope people are taking this serious
Yeah.
because it's going to happen overnight. We now have torcons of 8 for overnight tonight in Birmingham. Atlanta's a 5. I mean, this is a very serious situation, and I hope everyone pays attention to it.
Yeah, and Dr. Matt Stokowski, he was right over here looking at, he came in, it's like, this is scary.
It's
You know,
very
when,
scary.
when you're looking at the tornado threat this significant. And also, you pointed out, some of the sunsets tonight are
Very
before
early.
5 o'clock.
So anything
4:37
after
you
then
said,
is going to be at
National?
dark.
Yeah, and that's important because if you don't see it coming,
Can't see it.
you know, a lot of people don't believe it
You don't
unless
have
they
your
can
weather
see
radio
it.
on.
Trust the warnings today.
Correct.
And when you're in that watch area, that's when you really have to kind of have the antennas up and be waiting for the tornado warnings and be ready to receive those warnings.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're going to be driving around, you're trying to get to your family, you're like, oh, I think I can make it, I think I can outrun everything, but some of these are going to be popping up so very quickly, even as we go into the afternoon hours. You're thinking maybe typically they're going to come later in the day, but these are going to be popping up certainly from west to east, and we're going to talk more about the ingredients.
And they're popping up from west to east, but the threat goes from way
All the way
north
to the north. All
way
that
south.
moisture's in place.
Yeah, so let's take a look right now at this and how things are setting up and where the threat area is. We're going to break down the ingredients in a little bit to give you an idea of just what's going on. But the main thing to know with the jet stream, with this unusually warm, unusually moist air coming up from the south and that front moving to the east, the ingredients are coming together. It's almost more like something we'd see in spring or summertime, but it's happening 2 days before Christmas here. And we have the ingredients here, the shear, the winds changing direction with height and speed. It's giving the atmosphere the possibility to spin once you get the rising motion in the atmosphere. And this is a big area for some strong storms. And our Torcon here, Tornado Condition Index, the scale only goes to 10. So when you see 8s for parts of Mississippi, Alabama, 7s for parts of Arkansas, and then into Kentucky, there are 6s. These are big numbers. Of course, they will be updated as needed throughout the day here at the Weather Channel. And this now is a look at what the Storm Prediction Center has. There is that tornado watch that's in effect. So this is showing you where the conditions are coming together, and it goes along with our forecast too. It shows us where the conditions are coming together, and we're watching for the possibility to issue warnings, waiting for the local offices to issue those tornado warnings. So tornado watches mean conditions are possible. Warning, that's when you take action. That's when you go to your safe place, lowest point in your house, innermost point in your house, and this threat goes from the south to the Midwest today into the evening hours. This is where the rain's coming down, where the storms are right now. Here's Chicago up here to the south. You can see 57. You have this line right here, or this little area of red. That's showing some of the heaviest rain, possibly some hail, moving off to the kind of the east to northeast. Potential for damaging winds is here, and you can see the line as well. Again, severe thunderstorm is imminent for you. It's either happening or it's about to happen. Damaging winds and the potential for some large hail is within this. And you can see here from Missouri into Arkansas. And we can't forget also about the flood threat with some of the heavy rain, Jen. Yeah, you can see down there from some of the leftover rain, flash flood warning at the very bottom part of the screen. So that's something you're going to have to also think about, and also particularly dangerous at night, which we know is coming sooner and sooner.
Yeah, we do know that. So we're going to time this out, and we want to show you, kind of give you an idea to help you visualize. Maybe if you're on the roadways today and you're trying to get to your family's house, this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're already looking at storms around. You can see those developing in parts of Paducah, developing a little bit earlier than what the model is showing you. But as we show you, we go throughout the afternoon. Here comes 4:30. Here comes that line moving through Paducah. We just looked at the radar, and we saw those popping up in the southern parts of Missouri, as well as in northeastern Arkansas. This is 4:30 in the afternoon. These are the areas that are still looking at the Torcons, still in 7 or 8 range. Now we go into 9 o'clock at night. Of course, we lose our sunset right around 4:30, 5 o'clock in some of these spots, because the problem is you're not going to be able to see these tornadoes coming through. But it's not just the tornadoes. When we see these popping up, some of these cells popping up, we could be looking at the gusty winds. In addition to that, sizable hail could be in place. Going through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're still holding on to this. Areas like Atlanta with a Torcon of 5, and even for Birmingham, as we just said, just north of 20, we're looking at a Torcon of actually 8. The first time we've seen this since 2014.
All right, so let's go ahead right now and talk about another threat that we're going to be seeing as we get closer to the weekend, and it's for these cities. Shreveport, you're in that threat today, and Dallas, you look fine right now. That is going to change and change in a pretty big way come this weekend. So now we're looking at an additional threat. We just want to give you an early heads up, especially if your plans to take you somewhere else in and out of or through Dallas over the weekend and throughout other parts of the southern plains. Here's a look at how things are working today, the spin in the atmosphere. So essentially what's in the atmosphere that's going to get things going. And we're looking at that big low drop down here. It's also going to have some cold air. We're going to talk about a snowy and icy side potentially to this low coming up a little bit later in about 10 or 15 minutes. But it's the severe threat as this system moves through parts of Texas into Arkansas again. And remember, this is the weekend we're looking at. There is a threat today, but we're trying to get you ahead and give you an idea of what's coming this weekend, Saturday, and then again on Sunday, another severe weather threat that includes most of Louisiana, a big portion of East Texas, Mississippi, and central and southern Arkansas for some of the strongest storms. So we are again looking at that threat today for some strong storms, and then again this weekend. And back over here, that's where there's going to be a snowy side of things. So coming up, we're going to take a closer look at that, where there's going to be the potential for some winter weather this weekend. Also, we're going to show you the white Christmas forecast. We've updated that. And then, of course, our big story, the storms that have the potential for producing some very powerful and strong tornadoes, Jen.
Yeah, that's right. And we're also going to be looking at that potential, as you just said, for some snow to develop for this weekend. Could we be looking at a foot or more? We'll have that answer. And whether or not a major factor that makes this tornado threat even more dangerous, that's coming up after the break. Here is a live look at Atlanta. You can see the low clouds hanging tight. Well, across parts of the Northeast, the fog is a problem. In fact, we've had major delays coming out of New York, Philadelphia, as well as D.C. More on that coming up.